out by talking about the movie It Reunites You with Richard Lester. How did this come about?
Somebody suggested we make a feature of the tour. I think a lot of people who joined this too much, I think they thought it might be. I think they probably still think it might be. But anyway, he agreed to do the film, and he's just putting the finishing touches to it now, so it should be out kind of roughly spring '91 or something.
Yeah. Well, within directing this obviously won't be a standard tour documentary, I suppose, right? Is that safe to say?
That's the thing, yeah. And in fact, that's been cause of a lot of difficulties, because people are looking at it and sort of saying, well, you know, we want something that looks like MTV, you know, looks well, you know, but I mean, that's the kind of standard in many ways. Yeah. And he, being an older guy, being more a feature director, said, no, I'd like to do something different, you know. So he's had quite a bit of trouble trying to persuade people to do that, but luckily he stuck to his guns, and I think he's making a pretty interesting concert. Yeah. I don't think it'll look like the others.
Is the band from this tour going to stay together? You said that you really like this band. It feels good. Or is this
I think so, pretty much. But the truth is, I haven't actually asked them if they'll tour again. No. So you know, I mean, hopefully, you know, they'll stick together and stuff. But you never know what happens, you know. No. I think most of the band will stick together. You know, maybe a change or two. I don't know yet. No. We'll have to see. You know, how everyone feels. You know, we come to actually do the next. I'm saying we're going to tour at the end of next year. That depends, you know, if we've kind of done a new album, if we've rehearsed up and stuff. But I think it's likely we'll pretty much have the same thing, only a different show.
Are you working on material now, and you're writing songs frantically?
Yeah, I am at the moment, yeah. I've got kind of a bit of time off. And it's great, yeah, I just take days and sort of write some stuff. I've got a little bit of stuff cooking for the next album.
I understand you're doing an oratorio of some sort. What's that all about?
Yeah, well, that's actually what's taking up my time at the moment. Oratorio is like a choir work, something to do with a lot of choral work. What it is I've been asked by my hometown, Liverpool. The orchestra, the Philharmonic Orchestra, Liverpool Philharmonic Orchestra, is 150 years old. Not the guys in the orchestra, although that's sometimes in doubt. But they've got a big you know, anniversary coming up, and they wanted me to write something, like in celebration of it. So it's like a huge offer, you know, and a huge thing to bite off.
How do you do this? You don't write it down in notes?
No, I'm working with a guy called Carl Davis, who's actually a New Yorker who's living in London. He's done a lot of film work. And I was attracted to him. I read an interview once where he said, if it moves, I'll score it. I thought, I like this guy, you know, he loves to do that. It's going to be fruitier than anything I've ever done, because just the nature of a symphony orchestra with sort of soloists, immediately it's difficult to make it unfruity, you know, but that's what I'm trying to do. That's basically what I'm there for.
There's a libretto for this? Is this a story that ties into Liverpool mythology or something?
It's a story loosely based on my upbringing. The first half of it is kind of my upbringing, and then it stops being me then, and it just becomes a Liverpool life. But there's a loose story.
It's nice that you're friends now with the Liverpool establishment. You know, it's been a long time. It took them a long time to acknowledge yourself and the Beatles, didn't it?
Well, it's strange, you know. I mean, those kind of classical players, there is a snobbery amongst those people, you know, that normally, like, East and West don't mix, you know. We don't. In fact, there's a strange thing. And when we first started recording at EMI, on the desk, there used to be actually a switch that said classical pop. And we used to get real annoyed. Well, we used to say, what have they got that we can't have? Put it to classical. And it turned out it was actually just a range of EQs. We had the hard sort of pop EQs. They had soft. But we used to get annoyed. We said, we're subsidizing them. How come they can have all the good EQ?
I wonder what you want out of what you're looking for out of a live album. When you put a live album together, do you want it to be something like totally different from every other live album ever made, or?
Sure, sure. You want everything like that. No, really, all I wanted to do with this live album was give the people who came to our show a great souvenir. Yeah. So you could actually say, oh, yeah, I went to that show, and here's the kind of show album. Yeah. But basically wanted to recreate the show as faithfully as we could. So we didn't mess too much with the running order. Sometimes it had to be slightly different just because of dynamics and the whole thing, you know. We basically tried to say that if you came to the show and you enjoyed it, then this album's for you. This is the souvenir album from it. I haven't really tried to do anything more complex than that, except the other little trick we've done is we've put in, every so often, we've put in these sound check, what we call trinkets.
Really?
Yeah, well, we've just put odd things that weren't in the show We used to always do a song at soundchecks called Don't Let the Sun Catch You Crying. Just as a nice one to do. You see, if you do the show's numbers, you do the numbers from the show at soundcheck, we're bored by the evening. We said, we've done this once today. So I hate that kind of thing. So the soundcheck used to be really another show. There'd be about 5 people out there digging this completely different show. So we tried to get that feeling on the album. So there's
what other kind of songs were you doing, for example?
We did Matchbox all the time. That was like our soundcheck number.
Putting this album together, you have 19 tracks. I wonder how you go about selecting what's going to go on an album like this, and how you selected the songs to go on tour. Do you go back and say, well, we have to have these Beatles tunes, we need these Wings songs, here's some solo stuff, and is this, do you have to agonize over this?
We didn't agonize over it, no. But that was roughly it, what you just said, you know, some Beatles songs and solo songs. Basically because I just wanted to kind of cover my career to date and play some of my best stuff, you know, so we kind of selected it with that in mind. I didn't want to just do a sort of 60s revival tour.
No.
I think that's a bit boring. You know, it's okay for some acts, but I've done a little bit more than that, you know, and I do think my more modern stuff stands up. So I didn't want to betray the new stuff. So we decided we'd put that in. And basically all we did was we just chose a bunch of songs, like you said, some Beatles, some Wings, some solo. Not enough Wings for some people, actually. Some people felt we were a little light on things like Ram and stuff. But, I mean, you know, you only got 2 hours. And what we did, we just rehearsed it. And if in rehearsal it seemed to work, fine. If it didn't, but it was maybe a great song, but we didn't enjoy it, we just knocked it out. So we just waited till we had enough songs that we enjoyed. And we said, right, now we can go on tour. And we threw in some rock and roll things, you know, just that weren't mine.
Matchbox and so on.
Matchbox and stuff.
Are there some songs like the Beatles songs or Wing songs that just can't be done live? Have you found? I mean, do you try them so they're just so complex we can't get them down right?
Well, I wouldn't say they can't be done. I'm sure anything could be done. I mean, we can record it. It could be done. And these days, you know, with synths and stuff, you can do samples of stuff when it was multi-layered. You know, you can achieve that effect. That wouldn't be the worry that you couldn't do it. More the worry that you didn't want to do it, that it wasn't feeling good. Some of them actually just don't feel so good live.
Really?
You know, they're nice songs, but Hey Jude, when you just sing it in rehearsal or you sing it live, kind of feels like, oh yeah, and we'll go, you all join in, and I bet they do. You know, you can kind of get a feeling of what's going to happen.